friends, thanks for joining me today. So I'm going to be reviewing The Gilded Ones by Namina Forna. This fulfills the Own Voices prompt for the OwlCrate reading challenge that I'm doing. Check out the other reviews I've done for this challenge that I will link below. So in The Gilded Ones, we are on this fictional continent called Otera, and our main character is a girl named Decca who undergoes the ritual of purity, where young women basically show that their blood runs red in order to become a full adult member of society. But when Decca's blood runs gold, the color of impurity, she is sentenced to the death mandate. And this mysterious woman comes to Decca and offers her one alternative: to come with her to train and fight for the emperor. So Decca is an Alaki, who are girls who have enhanced strength and healing abilities that make them very difficult to kill. And the Emperor is basically gathering up Alaki to form a powerful new army to face these creatures that plague the land called Death Shrieks. The story takes you from her small village to the training grounds in Hamaira, which is the city of emperors, and that's where most of the story takes place. It's a lot of training and emotional reveals and discoveries, and Decca coming to accept herself and embrace what she is. This book is a very loud condemnation of patriarchal systems and anti-women culture, purity culture. I'm very glad that I got this through OwlCrate specifically. Well, for one, this cover is stunning. I mean, I love the regular cover too. I'll like find a picture and put it up. But this one has just this really cool design in the background. But mainly I'm glad I got it through OwlCrate because each book comes with a little note from the author about the book. And Namina talks about how she grew up in Sierra Leone, West Africa, in addition to the United States, and about how both are very patriarchal places. So she wrote this book to explore, this concept and the fact that women have historically been commodified and controlled by men in various ways, and also the discrimination that many minorities face when they just exist in systems that weren't designed to accommodate them. I just really appreciated that note from the author herself, and I appreciated hearing about her motivations for writing the story. So the main thing I have to say about this book is that it's very graphic and intense. If I remember nothing else about it, I'm not gonna forget how bloody it was, like just really, really bloody. This is young adult, but the author doesn't like pull any punches with that. There is torture, there is dismemberment, there is blood everywhere. Blood is a big recurring theme in the book in several ways. So if you're squeamish, then this might be a little hard to get through. As I mentioned before, many elements of The Gilded Ones are an allegory for real-world sexism and the patriarchy, for slavery, and for people who are, blindly faithful to something without, critically analyzing it or just realizing it because they were, raised in that world. The women in Oteran society are ridiculously subjugated, and, this is justified by a holy text called the Infinite Wisdoms. Women can't leave the house without a male escort. They're not allowed to run. They can't use sinks. And they really can't do anything that isn't related to serving a husband or raising a family. Decca's golden blood is literally sold for money and wealth, and there are some references to like past sexual abuse. There are some serious topics woven into the story, and I appreciated the attention that was drawn to those elements. There's one quote in particular that I wanted to highlight that really stuck with me. It's when Decca is contemplating her options for basically either training to fight for the emperor or leaving, but being shunned and hunted for the rest of her life. So she says, Keita is just like the rest, giving us impossibilities and calling them choices. in lots of real world systems, historically and in the present, minorities and the disadvantaged are given choices that are all really crappy. And, in this example, her choices are either slavery or death, basically. Decca goes through a journey of self-acceptance and deprogramming throughout the story that was relieving to read about. She was truly a victim of her society. She believed that she was worthless, that she deserved the unfair things that were done to her, that she had to do certain things for salvation and to be accepted. And there are lots of other strong female leads alongside Decca. In particular, I loved the relationship between her and her friend Britta. Britta was my favorite character for sure. She was so sweet and kind and loyal. But Decca is the only character that's really fleshed out. And part of that is because the book is written in first-person present tense. So we are very confined to the world inside her head. And I've never been a fan of first-person point of view, nor am I a fan of present tense writing. Personal preference, so I didn't love that. I also didn't particularly care for the romance in this book. It was more convenient than genuine or compelling. Like, here's a boy, she's a girl, they're gonna be together. That's just kind of what it felt like. I think if the romance hadn't been there, the story wouldn't have suffered for it at all. I don't think it adds anything substantive to the story or plot. There are these really cool creatures that I enjoyed called the Ekus, is how I'm pronouncing it, which are described as having human chests, horse lower bodies, and talons, but there's no mention of what their heads look like. They can talk, they can, speak English, or you speak the language, so they probably have human heads, but I just got a chuckle out of imagining them with horse heads. The plot was fine. I don't know, but it felt sort of muddled to me. The girls are preparing for war against the Death Streaks, but there's like something weird going on there, and Decca is trying to solve a mystery surrounding her mom, who had died a few months prior. The woman who originally takes Decca from her village, that she calls White Hands, has some secrets that she's trying to figure out. I think the big twist near the end wasn't a huge surprise to me. I think the reader is being led there pretty clearly as the book goes on. There was a lot of telling you how to feel at any given moment. Because of the nature of the first-person perspective, it was very dramatic, like all the time, which I just felt like it really took away impact from the moments that really deserve that dramatic tension. There's a lot of shocking stuff that happens all throughout, like, don't get me wrong, but it just felt overly dramatic, I think, and forced a little bit. Overall, I enjoyed the Gilded ones. I clearly have lots of thoughts and feelings about the messages and the themes, but I gave it, a solid average 3 out of 5. The main plot itself, I don't know, didn't wow me in its execution. It was good, but there were just, some things that were subpar in my opinion, or that I didn't really care for. I appreciate the underlying themes that Namina Forna was wanting to convey and criticize, and, I'm glad I read it. Thanks so much for watching. I'm glad you came to join me. This OwlCrate reading challenge has been very fun. I've read almost, most of the books on that list, and I will be, making reviews for all of those coming up, and it's been really fun and enjoyable. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you've read this book. I can't remember where I first saw it, but when I opened up my OwlCrate and saw that this was the book, it was the first time that I was like, oh my gosh, I've actually heard of this book. I actually want to read it. This is awesome. So, I'm really glad that I got to read this. So, thanks for joining me again, and I will see you next time. Bye.